launches crossing the 2,500 per square feet mark. And for many buyers, that is starting to feel quite stretched. So when a project like Tengah Garden Residences come up in a noticeably lower entry price, it naturally catches a lot of attention. But the real question is this: would I actually buy Tengah Garden Residences today with my own money? If you have been looking at new launch properties recently, you'll probably notice that prices have moved up quite significantly across Singapore. In many parts of the market today, especially in the OCR region, it is no longer uncommon to see new launches crossing the 2,500 per square feet mark. And for many buyers, that is starting to feel quite stretched. The latest new condo launch at Tampines, Pioneer Residences, see over 90% sold, with units hitting 2,700 per square feet mark. You can see based on the trends and the transacted prices, these are the new benchmark and the prices buyers in the market can already accept. So when a project like Tengah Garden Residences come up in a noticeably lower entry price, it naturally catches a lot of attention. But the real question is this: would I actually buy Tengah Garden Residences today with my own money? In this video, I'm going to walk you through how I think about this project step by step so you can decide whether it makes sense for you as well. And if you appreciate this kind of honest and straightforward property breakdown, do like and subscribe so you can be notified when new videos like this are up so you can benefit from it. Let's first understand what this project actually is so we are on the same page. Tengah Garden Residences is a 9-year leasehold development with shops on the first story located obviously in Tengah. It is developed by the consortium including Hong Leong Holdings, Graco Land and CSC Land Group, which are all very established developers with a very solid track records as you can see here. And the development comprises of 863 units with a unit mix ranging from 1-bedroom apartments to 4-bedroom units. This means it caters to a wide range of buyers including investors, young couples and families. One key feature that stands out is that it is a development with shops on first story, which means that there are retail shops or F&B within the project itself. In a mature estate, this might not be a major differentiating factor, but this is a developing town like Tengah. This becomes much more meaningful because it introduces a layer of convenience for owners here and the numerous completed and upcoming surrounding HDB estates. So from a positioning standpoint, this is not just another residential project. It is part of the early infrastructure that will support the growth of Tengah estate. Now let's talk about the location because this is where expectations need to be managed. So Tengah Garden Residences is located near the upcoming Hong Kah MRT station. It is targeted to complete around mid-2028, which is part of the Jurong Region line. So once completed, this line will connect Tengah to Jurong East and other key employment hubs in the west. So on paper, this will look very strong, especially considering the long-term plans for Jurong East and the Jurong Lake District. So in addition, before Tengah Garden Residences complete, buyers will be very happy to know that the MRT is already functioning by 2030 or even 2029. So for drivers, the project is also accessible via the PIE and the KJE, which provides reasonable connectivity to other parts of Singapore. So if you visit Tengah today, you will notice that it is still very much a work in progress. There are ongoing construction sites, limited retail options, and overall the environment still feels quite new and underdeveloped. It's similar to a developing township like Punggol years ago, or even something like Canberra, where the Canberra MRT was completed with additional BTOs, ECs, and private launches, plus Canberra Plaza and numerous neighborhood amenities available around the area. A lot of buyers today still feel that Tengah is quite ulu, and to be fair, that perception is understandable. It's after all a relatively new township that is still being built up, and that's why you are getting the first mover advantage for this project. But if you learn more about this developing area, you can see how the government has already planned to grow this estate into their own sustainable estate and region with so many BTOs, new ECs, and now the first private development. You can see it's very clear on the foresight of the government with the MRT planning in place already and completed in another couple of years. Now let's talk about the transformation story because this is something that is often highlighted quite heavily. So Tengah is planned as Singapore's first forest town with features such as green corridors, car light zones, and smart energy system. These are all part of a broader effort to create a more sustainable and modern living environment. But from a property perspective, what really matters is the development timeline. But if you look at how other areas in Singapore have developed over time, this is not something new. We have seen similar situations in places like Punggol in its earlier years, or even Canberra more recently. When Canberra MRT was first completed, the area was still quite sparse. But over time, with the addition of BTOs, EC, private developments, and amenities like Canberra Plaza, the entire environment started to take place. So in many ways, Tengah is currently at that earlier stage of the same growth cycle. Now, what is different here is that if you take a step back and look at the broader planning, you can actually see quite clearly that this is not a random development. There is a very deliberate effort by the government to build Tengah into a self-sustaining town. You have a significant pipeline of BTO projects, upcoming ECs and now one of the first private developments coming into the area. And at the same time, the MRT infrastructure is already planned and will be coming in within the next couple of years. So if you are considering a project like this, it's less about what Tengah looks like today and more about what is designed to become by the time the development reaches its TOP. By the time Tengah Garden Residences obtain its TOP, you can reasonably expect key transport infrastructure, basic amenities and accessibility to already be in place. Of course, like any other new township, right, development will continue even beyond that point. But by then, you are no longer entering at the very beginning stage, you are entering into a town that is already taking shape. Now let's talk about the main reason why Tengah Garden Residences is getting so much attention, which is the pricing. And why is developer able to push out such an attractive price tag? We need to understand and look at the land bids bidded for the project sites. Tengah Garden Residences is the lowest at 821 per square feet per plot ratio, which gives developer a good buffer and opportunity to price it more attractively. And based on the latest indicative released by the developers, the project will be priced starting from 1779 per square feet. This is noticeably lower than all the other new condos launched currently in the market. There are of course only 6 one-bedrooms in this project and they start from 980k when 2-bedders are from 1.11 mil, 3-bed from 1.588 mil and 4-bed starting from 2.288 mil. What makes this particularly interesting is the pricing is quite close to some ECs transacted in the recent months and some units from 17XX to 19XX per square feet may be cheaper or on par with the new EC prices too. So buyers are essentially comparing a fully private condo with an EC which comes with a certain restrictions such as the MOP period. This creates a unique positioning because Tengah Garden Residences offers private property status at a relatively accessible entry price. What this is very beneficial is that buyers who purchase into Tengah Garden will be able to have the option to exit in 4 years' time with less competition and resale supply in this region, whereas the BTOs and new ECs, even though are also completed, but requires another 5 years to obtain MOP to be open for sale in the resale HDB market. And this entry price and the timeline of potential exits plays a very important role when we think about your risk and your exit options. At this point, if you are currently considering Tengah or even comparing it with the other new launches or the ECs, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments or this is my number. You can drop me a text here. I can help you break it down based on your specific situation. So coming back to the main question, would I, as a buyer, also buy into Tengah Garden Residences today? This is a project that I will considering entering because it is a very safe entry price and I see the potential of the exit in future with its current purchase quantum in mind plus limited supply in the future when I have the option to easily exit in 4 to 5 years time. And another reason to consider entering a project like this is not simply because it looks more affordable today or because it is in a developing area. It really comes down to how the entry price compares to the broader market and how that positions you when the development is ready. So when you look at Tengah Garden Residences, you are entering at a price point that is still relatively attractive compared to many other new launches today. And that difference in entry price is not just about affordability, it plays a very important role in how your property performs later on. Because by the time this project reaches TOP, the surrounding environment would already be quite different from what you see today. You will have the Jurong Region Line in place, including the nearby MRT station. A large number of BTO developments in Tengah would have already completed, which means you are no longer looking at an empty or sparsely populated area, but a growing residential town with an actual population base. So on top of that, right, there will be neighborhood amenities, HDB shops, and essential convenience gradually coming into place to support the community. And within the development itself, you also have the benefit of having retail components integrated into the project, which adds an additional level of convenience. So when you put all of these together, you are not just buying into what Tengah is today, you are entering at today's price, but positioning yourself in an environment that is already much more established by the time you reach completion. And this is where the concept of a price buffer, right, becomes very important because when you enter a relatively attractive price compared to a broader market, you are giving yourself that margin of safety. As newer projects come in later, potentially at higher price points, your unit still remains competitive within the market. And that competitiveness, right, is what supports your flexibility when it comes to your exit. Whether you're looking to sell or to hold, having that stronger entry position gives you more options rather than relying purely on the market timing. If you look ahead about 4 years, closer to completion, the question buyers ask is whether there will be demand in this area. Personally, I think there is a reasonable case that demand will still be there, but that stage, like mentioned earlier, more BTO projects would have been completed, the population in Tengah would have increased, and infrastructure would have been established. So instead of selling into a completely new environment, right, you are selling into a growing residential town. And because your entry price is relatively attractive compared to the newer launches that may come later at higher prices, your unit is likely to remain competitive. So rather than viewing this as a situation, for me in my opinion, where you simply wait and hope, I will frame it as entering earlier at a reasonable price with a fairly supported exit environment as the town develops. At the same time, it's also important to be clear about why some buyers may choose not to enter Tengah. There are buyers who prioritize a fully developed region with a plenty of established amenities, and for them, mature estates will always be more appealing. And there are also buyers who are less comfortable with developing areas even if the long-term story really makes sense. And finally, there are buyers who prefer locations with a stronger and more established track record of demand. All of these are valid considerations. So to summarize everything, Tengah Garden Residences is not a project that will suit every buyer, but if you are someone who is looking for a more accessible entry into the private property market right now, and you are comfortable entering a developing area with a clear growth trajectory, then this is a project that you can consider looking into more seriously. At the end of the day, it's not about whether Tengah is good or bad, it's about whether this specific opportunity fits what you are trying to achieve. If you want help assessing whether this fits your situation, or if you want a deeper breakdown on unit selection and pricing strategy, feel free to reach out. Preview is ongoing right now till 21st of April. And if this video helped you think more clearly, to like and subscribe to receive notification for the upcoming ones. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!